The doors to the Viridian Tea House are open once more. Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well. I'm laughing because if you can hear the washing machine in this video, I truly am sorry, but we have to do laundry, so bear with me if you can hear the sound. And if you can't, what washing machine? Anyway, welcome to Viridian Tea House again, and hello to any new followers, and hello to all of my regular followers. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch these silly little videos regarding book and tea reviews. Thank you so much. Let's see, any news? Yes. The Etsy store will be open on Sunday, and I have very few tea blends that are available, yet I just said sit near the bush, just go ahead and open up the store. There will be several new blends that will be featured in the Etsy store. One I'm actually reviewing today. Another one is in honor of a certain mathematical number. I'll let you think about it. Anything else? I think that's it. So without further ado, let's get to the books. And as always, let me give a shout out to the Arapahoe libraries. You guys are amazing. I never know what I'm going to find in the library catalog, but because of y'all, my reading has grown exponentially. So thank you so much. So the first book I want to talk about today has been on everyone's lips lately. It seems that anytime I'm looking at a website for a bookstore or even looking at an online lecture by this author, a literary conversation, I think, everybody's talking about this new book from this author. And I was happy to find a copy at the Sheridan Library. Thank you, Sheridan. And this is I Have Some Questions for You by Rebecca Makkai. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Like I said, everybody's been talking about this book, so I thought, okay, you know what? If I ever find a copy of it, I'm just going to go ahead and read it. I devoured it in like a day and a half. And I see why people are so hyped up about it, but let me go ahead and read the dust jacket for you. A successful film professor and podcaster, Bodie Kane, is content to forget her past. The family tragedy that marred her adolescence, her 4 largely miserable years at a New Hampshire boarding school, and the murder of her former roommate, Thalia Keith, I think I pronounced that right according to the book, in the spring of their senior year. Though the circumstances surrounding Thalia's death and the conviction of the school's athletic trainer, Omar Evans, are hotly debated online, Bodie needs to let sleeping dogs lie. But when the Granby School invites her back to teach a course, Bodie is inexorably drawn to the case and its increasingly apparent flaws. Excuse me. In their rush to convict Omar, did the school and the police overlook other suspects? Is the real killer still out there? As she falls down the very rabbit hole she was so determined to avoid, Bodie begins to wonder if she wasn't as much of an outsider at Granby as she thought. If perhaps back in 1995, she knew something that might have held the key to solving the case. In I Have Some Questions for You, award-winning author Rebecca Makkai has crafted her most irresistible novel yet, a stirring investigation into collective memory and a deeply felt examination of one woman's reckoning with her past, with a transfixing mystery at its heart. Timely, hypnotic, and populated with a cast of unforgettable characters, I Have Some Questions for You is at once a compulsive page-turner and a literary triumph. It was a page-turner. Like I said, it took me, I devoured it in like a day and a half. And I actually put my other 2 reads to the side once I got this book because I said, I have to read this book. And what's interesting is that when I read it, it made me think about my own prep school time. For those of you who don't know, I actually did a summer session at Andover, the one in Massachusetts, and I studied calculus. And I always told people years later that every book about a prep school that you read about is true. I saw and experienced things at Andover that I did not experience anywhere else. From having tea time out on the lawn to all the Ivy League schools visiting us to see which students could they recruit to special outings like going to Newburyport, whale watching, the ability to go into Boston using the train. It was an experience that I'm glad that I went through. And if I had to do school all over again, I would have definitely have become a 4-year full-time student at Andover. I am grateful for having that experience. And in reading about the Granby School, it just made me think about Andover all over again. And commingled with lies and secrets, kids, outsider kids who saw the rich kids as elitist and entitled, and while they may have acted that way, they also didn't act that way, or they didn't think that they were entitled. Very, very interesting dynamic, especially when Bodhi talked about her 4 years at the school. The mystery was very interesting. However, and I'm now getting ready to critique the book, I thought that the author kind of stretched it out a little bit too much in terms of getting to the actual, well, if Omar Evans possibly didn't kill Thalia, then who did? And when you find out who did, it's like, okay, interesting buildup. I didn't see it coming, but it felt a little bit drawn out to me. And I checked Goodreads, like you do, and I saw where other reviewers were kind of in the same boat as I was. Now, a lot of people praised the book, and I really did enjoy reading it, but a lot of people did say that it was drawn out, and it just felt like it was a little bit too much in a way. I also thought that given the Me Too movement that was very prevalent in this book, and just any woman who has ever been a part of the Me Too movement, it's just, I'm sorry, I'm a little bit tripped up, but that is an experience that no one wants to ever go through. And I know of some people who have gone through an experience like that, whether it was somebody in a field of power, somebody who was older than they were, and just hearing the stories and then reading this book, it kind of triggered some thoughts and memories by proxy for me. So at times this was kind of a hard read, but overall I did enjoy the experience. And like I said, my only complaint or problem was that it just felt a little bit too drawn out. It was almost like kind of the bad joke of, was the author paid per word or something like that. Having said that, I liked her writing style because it is a page turner. She draws you in, and you, like I said, I gave up like most of a day to read this book because I didn't want to put it down. I really wanted to know who killed this young girl and why. And at the same time, I keep going back and forth, but I mean, I'm very, very conflicted about this book because yes, I did enjoy it, but I also thought it was drawn out. And there were some chapters where she shows different perspectives as to the different suspects. Well, this person could have killed the young girl, and here's how they might have done it. Or this person might have killed the young girl, and here's how they might have done it. Also, there were some pages involving certain like outside characters that really didn't have a part to play in the overall focus of the story. But then again, maybe it was just to flesh out Bodhi's experience with Granby and then beyond. So for I Have Some Questions for You by Rebecca Makkai, I give it Viridian Tea House's 3 Pots of Tea. And here's the thing, it's a solid 3 for me. I didn't think that it was 5. I didn't think, I wasn't, shouting at the top of the Rocky Mountains going, oh my God, this is an amazing book. It was, and yet it just felt a little, I left going, wow, I'm glad that I read that. And yeah, so if people are upset with me because of this review, I truly am sorry. This is just my opinion. I'm still glad that I read it. I just kind of waffled back and forth between, so anyway, I have some questions for you. I'm glad that I read it. I really am glad. And yes, it does get a solid 3 pots of tea from me. So I truly do appreciate having the chance to read this book, and I will be returning it to the library today. I really promise. So thank you again. And thank you for listening to me ramble all over the place about that book. I seriously, like, after reading it, I think I talked to myself for like 5 minutes going, you know, that was good, and that was an interesting whodunit, but was that too much? I mean, was she trying too hard? But it was really good, but I don't really know. So read the book, and if you think differently or if you think the same, please email me. My email address is teagoddess74@gmail.com. Please let me know what you think of it, and if we disagree, we disagree, and if we agree, we agree. Actually, you know what? I forgot to mention this. It kind of reminded me of The Secret History by Donna Tartt. If you've never read her before, she has 3 books out now, and she only writes like every 8 to 10 to 12 years. There was The Secret History, then there was The Little Friend, and then her latest one was called The Goldfinch. But The Secret History dealt with a private prep school, and there was a mystery involving some of the students, or specifically a certain class. But I have some questions for you, had that same kind of feel, kind of dark academia in a way. But yes, anyway, that book reminded me of The Secret History. If you haven't read it, at least try to read it once. It's not a bad book. It does draw you in, just like with I Have Some Questions for You. So, you know, it's weird. I have this strange, I'm drawn to books that involve prep schools. Mostly because I went to Andover, but also because I love that world. Because even though, yes, it's school, it's so unlike anything else in the rest of the world. It's just a different experience. But anyway, I digress. So the next book I want to talk about, I just want to say, if he happens to watch this video, I'm about to fangirl for just a moment. I absolutely adore your acting. The first time I saw you was in Dead Poets Society, and in fact, the nerdy girls in my high school and I created a Dead Poets Society that was inspired by the movie, and I'll never forget your character. I really, really resonated and liked your character. And I love the other movies that you've been in since then. And I did like you in Waking Life. I really, really loved that movie. And I loved you in Moon Knight as well. Who am I talking about? Good old Ethan Hawke. And this book, A Bright Ray of Darkness. This is actually, let's see, this came out in 2021. But again, thank you to Arapahoe Libraries. I hadn't read this book. I read his other ones, let's see, Ash Wednesday and The Hottest State. I read those 2 many years ago, and I actually do want to read them again. He also wrote a book called Rules for a Night, which I didn't read, but I think that's on my TBR pile. But A Bright Ray of Darkness sucked me in, and I complained mostly because of the main character. I was just like, oh my God. Suck it up, Buttercup. But let me read the dust jacket for you. From one of the most acclaimed artists of his generation, twice nominated for Academy Awards for screenwriting, a blistering new novel about a young man making his Broadway debut as his marriage implodes. A bright ray of darkness is a ferociously intelligent, often hilarious evisceration of fame and celebrity. No shit. That's the best way to describe this book. And a transfixing backstage glimpse into the magic of New York theater, and it showcases Ethan Hawke's gifts as a novelist as never before. Hawke's narrator is a young man in torment, disgusted with himself after the collapse of his marriage, still half hoping for a reconciliation that would allow him to forgive himself and move on as he tries to manage the wreckage of his personal life with whiskey and sex. What saves him is theater. In particular, the challenge of performing the role of Hotspur in a production of Henry IV under the leadership of a brilliant director, helmed by one of the most electrifying Falstaffs of all time. Searing, raw, and utterly transfixing, A Bright Ray of Darkness is a novel about shame and beauty and faith and the redemptive power of art. It's also a book about one day you lift your head up and you realize the world is not what you thought it was. You know, you had the main character who was married to this huge pop star, and their marriage was like hot and heavy and full of romance and love, and he ends up going to South Africa and cheating on her with a bookstore owner, and then they split up and he's despondent. And then, like the dust jacket says, you know, he finds his redemption in theater, specifically Shakespearean theater. But yet, one thing that made me think, you know, suck it up, Buttercup, was the fact that he was clueless. He was clueless about his role, not only in the play, but in life itself. And when he finally wakes up and realizes, this is not what I thought, then you actually see the redemption coming to light. And I absolutely adored Ethan Hawke's writing style, and this book just nailed it once again. I love the interactions that he had with the other cast of characters during the Broadway production, and I especially like toward the end, where as they wrap up their season, he's had an admirer for the entire length of them performing Henry IV, and he was so clueless and oblivious, he had no idea. And what's interesting is that when the person confronts him, they say, you know, you don't even know my name, and he's like, well, no, of course I know your name, you're blah 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 blah, and you did blah 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 blah. And yet it's almost like it's too little too late, but you still hope that the redemption is real. You still hope that maybe he can pull all the pieces together of his shattered life and rebuild it into something that's way more solid. One of the funniest scenes in this book is when he discovers his mom found his bag of cocaine. That's all I'm gonna say. I was telling my boyfriend about it. I was like, okay, this is funny. I like the interaction, and I loved his mother, by the way. I thought she was an awesome character. She's the kind of mother that I've seen many of my friends be that kind of mother. But I thoroughly enjoyed this book, even though I just wanted to slap the narrator several times. I held out hope for him, and like I said, at the end, when he finally lifts his head up and realizes that the world is not what he thought it was, and his role is not what he thought it was, the redemption, I think it's real, and I think his life will actually turn around. And actually, I wanted to read, let's see, this last paragraph, I read it twice, and I just have to read it. The back staircase of the Mercury Hotel is like a small enchanted castle stair. It smells ancient and sweet. The steps are narrow and made of a dull white marble. Somehow it still feels grand, like it has been and will be there forever. In the center of each heavy stone, you can see a slight indentation where, over the years, feet have worn a path moving ever upwards. At first, the wear is obvious. As you ascend, it grows subtler. Yeah. Sometimes words trip me up. It's a Saturday. What do you expect? Walking up, step after step, you feel yourself following a well-worn line. The higher you rise, the narrower and steeper the steps become. The tread path is less obvious and more difficult to see. The floors no longer have numbers. When you breathlessly arrive at a landing, somewhere in the middle, the trail disappears completely. All you see is another staircase. Something about that last paragraph, like I said, I read it twice, and it made me realize there's hope. There's hope for this character. And maybe he finally got it. So, for A Bright Ray of Darkness, sorry about the glare, but A Bright Ray of Darkness by Ethan Hawke. It receives Viridian Tea House's 5 pots of tea. Thank you so much, Mr. Hawke. I truly, truly enjoyed reading this book, and I am already ready to reread your books from before. I am ready to include your books in my library, so thank you so much. Thank you for writing this book. Thank you. And I still loved you in Waking Life. All right, so on to the tea part. So like I said, this is one of my new blends. Now, there's a story behind it. Excuse me. So as many of you know, I am on a path in converting to Judaism. And it has been several years in the making. And after coming to Colorado, I was honestly too nervous to go to a synagogue. You know, I had built up so much courage to go to Temple Israel back in Memphis that the thought of starting all over again, it really terrified me. I have an anxiety disorder, and although it has gotten a lot better, sometimes new situations really kind of freak me out. But I'm saying all that to say, I did go to Temple Micah this past Friday, and it was a Grateful Dead themed Shabbat, and I had never engaged in a Grateful Dead themed Shabbat. But it made me realize 2 things. One, the people of Temple Micah are absolutely wonderful, especially Rabbi Mo, and 2, I know a lot more Grateful Dead songs than I thought I did. But one thing that I like about Judaism is, well, especially with Reform Judaism, is the thought that we are broken as human beings, but our lives are spent making the most of our lives and trying to be a better person. Not a perfect person, but a better person. And in that, we also know that the world is broken. And so we do whatever we can to repair it, to make it better. We may not see the fruits of our labor, but maybe 2 generations down the line, we will. And that's why with this is my new tea blend. It is called Tikkun Olam, which is Hebrew for repair of the world. So this is an oolong tea mixed with hibiscus, ginger, and chamomile. And when I chose those flavors, I thought I wanted something that had a little bit of bite, that would make you wake up and pay attention and draw you in to the world, to see that there's some good parts and some not so good parts. We are all a part of it, and we try to do our best, some of us do, to make it better. So when I was trying to come up with this tea, like it was just milling around in my head, I said, repair the world, Tikkun Olam. And I reached out to the Denver JCC, told them who I was and what I was trying to do, and I actually got a tour of the JCC, and I was very, very impressed. And I decided that with every sale of this new blend, I was going to donate a part of the proceeds to the Denver JCC just for general usage. I was advised that, I could focus on, the theater or the preschool or, what have you, but I just thought, just send it directly to the JCC and let them use it however they want to. So, and you don't have to be Jewish to drink it, but I did check, and I know with the oolong tea, it is kosher, but I just wanted, in thinking about repairing the world and trying to make it better, I kept asking myself, well, I'm only one woman. What can I do? I can't repair the world. I am one woman with a lot of flaws and a lot of problems. And then I thought, and I said, what are my passions? Number one is tea and how it brings people together, people who may have different backgrounds or different lifestyles or whatever. If you put tea in between two people who both like tea, something happens. And it just kind of has this ripple effect to maybe more and more people can be affected by it for good. In coming out here and being back in Memphis and also New Orleans, reaching out to people through my tea, through my books, but mostly through the tea. It's amazing the conversations that I've had so far. It's amazing the connections that I've made. And that's what hit me when thinking about this tea blend. This is how I can help to repair the world. So I actually made some of the Tikkun Olam, and I've got it in my lovely gypsy mug, Gypsy Coffee House, which is in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So once again, this is Tikkun Olam Tea Blend. The ingredients again are oolong tea, hibiscus, ginger, and chamomile. I did let this steep for about 5 minutes, and Tikkun Olam. I'm definitely getting the hibiscus and the ginger. The oolong, I'm getting that toward the back. But the ginger is not, oh my God, I can't breathe. That's the thing with this ginger, that I actually got the ginger from Apothecary Fairy in Littleton, Aspen Grove. Hi, Aaliyah. I had to do the shout out. But this is a tea that awakens your senses. The ginger and the hibiscus definitely do that. Very much so. I am digging this. That's good. That's very good. The chamomile, I'm kind of getting just a little bit of that apple hay sweet taste, but it's the ginger and the hibiscus, they're not like so overpowering that you can't stand it. It's not so bad. Yeah, that's not bad at all. So this tea will be made available in my Etsy store, Viridian Tea Company. And I think I decided on 10% of the proceeds will be given to the Denver JCC. And I've already got a couple of people who are interested in this tea, and I'm like, I don't think I made enough. But yes, this is Tikkun Olam, Hebrew for repair of the world. And speaking of repairing, get to the final part of our video today, a tea water breathing meditation. As always, if you're new to this, welcome. Here's what we do. You make sure that you get a glass of water or a cup of your favorite tea, and then you find yourself in a comfortable position, either seated or standing up or laying down. Make sure your tea or your water is next to you. We're going to take a couple of deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth, and then you can either softly focus on an object in front of you, or you can close your eyes. We're going to breathe for a number of counts, and as I always say, meditation is not about clearing your mind, but it's about just focusing on your breathing. Your thoughts are going to come. It's normal and it's natural. But when you find yourself kind of being pulled by a thought, stop, tell yourself silently thinking, label it that, and watch it go off, and return to your breathing. If you have to do it a couple times, that's quite all right. I have found that I've had to do it, because then I'll start thinking, oh yeah, did I make groceries? Did I need? I'm like, whoa, 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 thinking, let it go on by, focus on your breathing. Then once we're done, we'll do one last breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. And then we will open our eyes or allow our eyes to come into focus. And then we enjoy a sip of our tea or our water. So if you're ready and you have your liquid refreshment, let's begin. And now as we end this breathing meditation, take a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Slowly open your eyes or allow your eyes to come into focus once more. And then enjoy a sip of your tea or your water. Thank you so much for watching this video, and my apologies if you heard the washing machine. I'm so sorry about that. And special thanks to Rebecca, Makkai, and Ethan Hawke, and to the good folks at Viridian Tea Company for creating Tikkun Olam Tea Blend. And a shout out, as always, to Arapahoe Libraries. Thank you, you guys rock. But that's all I've got. So until next time, take care of yourself and each other. Raise your teacup high, and always remember that to drink tea is to enjoy life. If you follow me on Etsy, you will definitely find out when the store it will be open again, so you can order all sorts of yummy goodies, books, artwork, and of course tea. More blends will be added once I get them in stock. And I think that's it. So thank you so much for watching this video. I truly do appreciate it. Take care. Bye for now.